we've applied, we've applied that concept to pretty much all of our games, and I think that's been very, very crucial in getting us to where we are. It's also very similar to the way websites function, right? What are the websites that you come back most often to? The ones that change their content constantly. If you have a website that has the same content, yeah, you'll see it once you're done. So the games are very much like that on the mobile platform. You constantly have to add new content to keep people interested. If they're interested, they'll come back, they'll open it up, they'll play it, they'll show it to their friends, they'll play it, they'll buy it, and so on. So another thing that I mentioned before is design for the platform. Apple has this amazing set of documents that really describe what their idea of how iPhones are used and how to design the best functioning applications and, well, not so much games, but applications for the platform. And one of the things that they've been saying on and on from the very beginning is this 30-second use case. And that really sort of rang with me. It's, when they were building the photo app on the iPhone, it was, okay, let's focus on just a very small set of things that we want to have in this app. It's sharing the photos. It's not Photoshop, it's not the big editing thing, it's just very small focus. It's, you take the phone out, you look at it for a couple of 30 seconds, as they say, and then you put it down. So what we wanted to do was create games that you could play for 30 seconds, but you could also play longer if you liked them, but you would get a lot of satisfaction from those 30 seconds. So people are playing Doodle Jump when they're waiting for their bus, when they're waiting in line at the store. Apparently it's very popular in the toilets around the world, so I take that as a compliment. Some people were actually sort of ashamed to tell me that, hey, I played in the toilet. I was like, no, that's great. That's really great. So that's, I think that's really important. I think it's really important to understand what your platform is all about, rather than just taking what you have on PSP and creating a quick port on the iPhone, or taking what you have on the iPhone and creating a quick port for the iPad. iPad is a very different device than the iPhone, and I think that needs to be accounted for when you're creating a version for it. Another big thing is connect with your audience, right? Kids these days don't really use email anymore. They don't, read mailing lists. They use Facebook. They use Twitter. They go on the forums and so on. And what they really love is direct communication. They love the fact that I'm the one emailing them back with answers. Now, of course, if you're EA, but it becomes a little difficult for a CEO to email everyone back. But look at Apple, look at Steve Jobs. He's not emailing every person back, but every email that he sends out and signs Steve, it's like a huge media event. And I think we're seeing, a lot more people or companies going in that direction where it's more open, because kids expect that. Kids these days don't really have that whole wall between them and the company, or you could call it in some ways respect to the elders. It's really, everyone's being equal. I mean, I was really surprised when I was at the GDC and Julian from Backflip Studios, another great iPhone game shop, was mentioning how his workday was, okay, work all day, 5 o'clock dinner, 6 to 9, chat with 12-year-olds online. And I was saying, me too, it's really keeping in touch with your audience and one-on-one communication as much as possible. I was in the middle of a Skype chat talking to, I think it was my brother or someone. We were talking business basically, and I'm usually invisible, but for some reason I needed to make myself visible, and immediately, this 12-year-old kid pops up and starts asking me questions. How many apps do you have? How many this and that? And so I said, well, I'm not sure. I think we have about 40 out there. He's like, ha ha ha, you don't even know how many you have. You have 34. It's this, okay, addressing me and my first name basis, which is common in the States, but still. So times are changing. Kids are all about texting, Twitter, really quick and instant communication. No more press releases or mailing lists. We don't even have a mailing list. We have a Facebook page and we have 200,000 fans on it. That's the way how you get to those consumers of yours or customers of yours. Another thing that you want to do is let your audiences connect. So create a way for people to share their score online. For example, what you see here is me posting on my Facebook page that I just got this incredible score in Doodle Jump. All of my friends will read it. The same thing with Twitter. I can tweet my scores and all my followers see that I'm playing Doodle Jump. What the hell is Doodle Jump, right? And that happens very often. Kelly Pickler is one of the US American Idol celebrities, but she has 200,000 followers, right? And what she does is plays Doodle Jump. And her Twitter account says, I just got up to 22,000 in Doodle Jump. Beat that. So all of her 200,000 followers read that, and they ask, what is Doodle Jump? And then we get a lot of these. Dear Kelly Pickler, thanks for getting me hooked on Doodle Jump. Right? So we have this free promotion just by people playing the game and tweeting about it, which people love. Another great thing to use is Apple is coming out with the Game Center at the end of this year, where you will be able to recommend the games to your friends and show everyone what you're playing and basically promote your other games in a very efficient way. But there are some solutions that are out there now, like Plus Plus, OpenFame, Crystal, Score Loop, Igor, and some others, where really you have a way to cross-promote your other games, because getting on top of 200 or 300,000 apps that are now in the App Store can be pretty daunting if you don't have a lot of money. But if you don't have a lot of money, you can still get there. One of the things we did, as I mentioned earlier, is this media outreach. And you have to start small. We didn't really email the New York Times, hey, Doodle Jump is out. It's a new game, check it out. We waited a little bit. We started with this guy, Matt Dunn at TouchCan. It was called iPhone Games Network when it actually started. And he was a journalist at a conference I was in San Francisco in March last year. And the game had just come out, and I showed you the sales, 21 copies, and so on. And I was really eager to show it to people. And I showed him the game. He said, okay, I'll take a look at it, I'll maybe write something about it. So he basically spent the entire conference playing a game instead of covering it. And that told me something. He wrote about it. It's not a big website, so we didn't necessarily get much traffic from it, but it was a start. I also emailed this guy, Louis Gray. I've emailed him previously about some of our kids' games. He writes a blog about interesting things in tech. He liked, I think it was Animatch or Crazy Frog, or a couple of our other games, and I sent him one about Doodle Jump. So he wrote about it. There are people who have him in his RSS reader. It'll come up. Maybe we'll get someone to take notice. Touch Arcade then eventually wrote about it, which helped us some. And then, of course, Gizmodo, which made a huge, big difference. So there are ways you can get to Gizmodo in New York Times. And by the way, I emailed Gizmodo maybe 5 or 6 times before they actually took notice and wrote about it. And the trick there is you have to be persistent. These people are really busy. If you send them an email, they don't reply, it's probably because they don't care about your game, but it could also be that you got them at the wrong moment and they just forgot about it. Not to say that you should send, hey, I sent you an email, did you see it, kind of a thing to follow up. No, when you have a reason next time to actually write something new about the game, hey, new update is out, or hey, this such and such wrote about the game and really liked it, or Apple featured it, check it out. You can send a follow-up email. Don't be annoying though, I think that's another big thing. persistent but not annoying. And you can get there. And eventually, you know, we built our way up, and we had New York Times write about it, write about Doodle Jump twice actually. And one thing that we learned from there is also that it's really important what kind of angle you put on the story. All right, so you know, we've been thinking, oh, it's really interesting that Doodle Jump sold 5 million downloads. That's really big news, right? And I get a call from CBS, which is one of the big 4 TV networks in the States. And they're really not interested in 5 million copies. I mean, it's great, but what they're really interested in is something that I almost didn't put in my sort of, call it official press release that I've been sending individually to every media person that I know, is this mention of Lady Gaga dancer having Doodle Jump image on his vest, and the Jimmy Fallon, the late night TV host, mentioned it on his show. They were really interested about this sort of cultural phenomena about it. And I was really sort of debating whether I should put that in or not, because some people like Lady Gaga, some really hate her, and so on. So not even the fact that it was my brother and I, 2 independent, you know, developers who made the success, was really as interesting to them as the Lady Gaga and all the celebrities. So I'll show you a little clip from.
You'll be seen after the man who claims to be having a heart attack but appears to be well enough to play Doodle Jump on his iPhone.
From primetime sitcoms,
This little doodle character, and you have to jump up the screen.
to late night TV,
It's pretty addictive.
to a fashion accessory for pop stars, Doodle Jump is everywhere.
It's addicting. I know, really. We keep playing it.
My high score is 7,472.
So, you know, that's really what got them interested. And I was interesting, you know, because I've been trying to get to TV, because obviously has the biggest reach and really made the impact on sales for us. And it's basically free advertising. You can't beat that. So speaking of advertising, we've done some, not necessarily with great results, but one thing that we noticed was that anything that looks like editorial really makes a difference. So when Gizmodo wrote about us, we saw an increase in sales, and then what we did, they have this thing, as you can see on top, where you can actually pay a lot of money for regular ads on their site, and what they throw in as a bonus is this fake editorial that has this little advertisement on that when you're scanning the page you don't really see. So what we wanted to do was create something that really looked like a story they wrote, which first time it kind of worked. Second time, I'm not so sure. We did a similar thing with Dutch Arcade, which we got a lot of flames for. Actually, this looks very much like one of their blog posts, but if you read it clearly, it's sort of a joke about it. And you know, the worst ads are the ones that no one talks about. So the fact that people were pissed about this and complaining actually was really great. Again, not necessarily financially successful, because I don't think we actually made the money that we paid for the ad, but it was good. You know, it's kind of supporting the blog that actually brings a lot of value to the community. We've tried some little mobile ads, and another thing that we kind of tried, one of the first things we kind of tried was this Jonas Brothers ad in a teen magazine called Popstar. Apparently last summer, Jonas Brothers, and for those of you who don't know, you shouldn't be embarrassed because I didn't know. I'm very versed now in the world of the teenage pop stars. They're like a boy band from the States that are very popular with 13-year-old girls. And you know, what we do is really, really read and follow the comments that we get on the iTunes store. Someone mentioned, oh, my band mentioned that they love this game, so I bought it. And then we went on a little bit of a sort of Sherlock Holmes mission to figure out who that band was and so on. And we got